Hello everyone. Today we're taking a short look at The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. It's a new game by a new developer called The Astronauts, though the Astronauts are no strangers to game development themselves, as they were founded by the original founders of People Can Fly. You may have heard of People Can Fly. They made games like Painkiller and Bulletstorm. So, knowing that, it gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect from The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. It's time to gear up, get our shotguns ready, and make those people responsible for Ethan's vanishing pay. Big time. Let's start with the shooting.
Ethan Carter I didn't know, but he knew who I was. When the police won't help you and the priests don't believe you, you call on Paul Prospero. You call on me. If you're a kid like Ethan, you're right, plenty do. Ethan's letter started out just like any other fan mail, but soon there were mentions of things no little boy should know about. There are places that exist that very few people can see. Ethan could have drawn a map. I hadn't entered Red Creek Valley yet, but already I could feel its darkness reaching out for me. Finding Ethan Carter wasn't going to be as easy as knocking on his door. I was too late for that. To find Ethan, I had to figure out what this place was trying to hide from me.
I've got to level with you. There actually are no guns in this game. I know! What? How is it even a video game? Well, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is more of an adventure game. More of an actual, I guess I would say, an interactive narrative, let's say, because story and narrative are the most important parts of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. More so than anything else, I think. Well, we're on a path, these train tracks, and trying to find Ethan Carter wherever he lives, but I was never really good at staying on the path. Even if it does eventually get us to Grandma's house, it's more interesting to go off the path. Well, it looks like someone doesn't want visitors. As Paul Prospero, we're some kind of supernatural detective. We have powers of insight. Not really very well defined what those powers are, but if we see things of interest, we might be able to find out more about them. Such as these traps. As we see more and more traps, we seem to be forming some kind of image. And the more traps we find, the more information we get. And of course, the first thing that I have to mention, it's a very beautiful game. It's really quite stunning looking. But what kind of hidden evil and darkness might lurk amongst the beauty? Well, I guess that's what we're here to find out. A lot of the gameplay in Ethan Carter is a lot like what you're seeing now. We're walking around, we're exploring, we're looking around, we're observing. We are a detective after all. And I could leave the forest here, leave all that behind and walk out into the sunlight, but I am curious about those traps. Is there anything else I could learn from them? Maybe. No, that one is not even hidden. You don't need to be a detective to see that. More of the image forms. Now, I don't mean to take away from some of the tension, but we can't actually be hurt by anything. It's really not that kind of game. I don't think there is even a way to get a game over or anything like that in this game. Like I said, it really is more about being an interactive narrative. A story that we experience and that we observe more than anything else. So despite the first-person perspective, and despite who made this game, there are really no enemies, no shooting, no combat, no death. It's probably good to know that right off the bat, to get a good idea of what exactly this is that you would be playing. We've seen 4 traps at this point. We're starting to fill in this image, but it looks like we don't quite have enough. And a lot of the investigations in The Vanishing of Ethan Carter do follow the format that you're seeing here. We become aware of something of interest, a point of interest that we might want to explore, that we might want to find. And we try to find as many as we can in the environment. In this case, they're traps. But that's not always going to be the case. It's a very slow-paced game, very methodical pace. Who does the methodical pace benefit? It benefits Ethan Carter. Now we found out the answer. I should mention... Oh, okay. I was about to mention while I was looking for this final trap, this is a PC game. It is set to be released on the PS4 sometime early next year, though I don't think a release date has been decided as of yet. But now that we found the 5th trap, let's see if we can get a clearer picture on things. Well, we've gone inside the image, and looks like a lot of people had a bad time around here. I think that we've been by this tree before, but certainly all this was not there last time we were around. A note has also appeared. Sap by Ethan Carter. We can read the text a little bit better like this. So Ethan, as we continue through the investigation, turns out is an imaginative boy and likes writing short stories. In fact, the game itself is really a short story, because it is quite a short game, around 3 to 4 hours long. And I think probably saying it is a short story kind of defines it better than any kind of game genre that you might think of. An illustration of Ethan's story.
Ethan, I told you, you can't be here.
But Gramp, I wrote something for you.
That's real nice. Thank you. Just leave it. I'll read it later.
Oh, and now the scene has changed. Those skeletons and skulls are nowhere to be found. But what is to be found? It looks like Ethan has stumbled upon Gramps' little drinking area. When you gotta get away from the house. For a little alone time. With your old pal. An article about a house fire. This doesn't mean a whole lot to us now, but as we continue on through the game and learn more about what this place is and who these people are, this will start to have more relevance. It just seems like there was a fire here some time ago. Also, if we were to read those articles, we might have seen a reference to the Carter family, who are the caretakers of an estate of a deceased rich man named Vandergriff. The Vandergrift family, the heirs, don't want to live here for some reason, even though that means they don't have access to the family fortune. One of the requirements in Vandergrift's will was that the heirs had to live here. They don't want to do it for some reason. I don't know why. They're giving up a lot of money. Bridge closed? Well, you know what Paul Prospero says to that.
Red Creek Valley seemed like a quiet, ordinary place. I've learned two things in my life. No place is truly quiet, and nowhere is really ordinary. Ethan warned me about that. Warned me not to be fooled by what I saw here. He didn't need to worry. I'd worked dozens of cases, hundreds. This would be my last one.
So, Ethan Carter, in some kind of trouble, sent a letter to Paul Prospero, who apparently is some kind of famous paranormal detective, I guess, since Ethan has heard of him. It really is a very pretty game. It looks like Paul has decided that this is going to be his final case. We can run. I mean, a lot of the time we'll walk around to soak in the environment, just look over everything, but, oh, something seems strange about this. Paul's detective senses are telling him that he should probably inspect the bloodstain on this train car. Well, it looks like this train car was recently used. A crank was used to power it, but where's that crank now? Well, our spidey sense will tell us the direction of certain relevant items. So the crank is somewhere in an area, a rocky area near some water, in the direction we're facing now. So we'll keep an eye out for that. That just seems like a really useful ability to have just in life. Well, we could try to operate the train car, but no good. We need that crank to power it. You wouldn't think a crank would... Well, I guess that just starts the engine, isn't it? And then the engine takes over from there. Well, if someone lives here, it doesn't seem like there are a lot of people. Everything just seems all broken down and overgrown. Like a place that might have been at one time a bit busier, but doesn't seem like anyone's been here for a while. That seems a little strange. A rope tied across the train track. Let's remember that. But that by itself is not very strange. This, on the other hand, a pair of severed legs, is a bit stranger. Yeah, so I think this is getting our attention right now. You wouldn't expect someone who had their legs severed would make it very far, and you'd be right. Well, it seems that Paul is deciding that the cause of death was not bleeding from the legs, but a head fracture. It seems that someone really had it out for this unfortunate individual. Too much noise, not enough information. We need more to complete the picture. But for right now, we are heading towards some water. And some rocks. Does kind of look like that scene that we saw the crank by. You might as well stop by and see if we can find it. You wonder how the crank might get here. I mean, it would have had to have been used on that train car, so what is it doing all the way out here? Ah, there it is. Oh, okay, I think we can see what it's doing out here. Seems that this might be the murder weapon itself. Well, I mean, obviously it did not separate those legs. But it does have blood on it. And you know, without Paul coming out here, maybe no one would ever have investigated the case. It doesn't seem like there's really a police force or anything like that out here. Or really anyone at all. No. Still not enough information. We need more. Two things we can inspect. Well, we can assume that we know what the gasoline would have been used for. We've only seen one vehicle around. And it would make sense that the rail car was originally here, and looking at the state of this grass, probably here for some time, until someone fueled it up and went on their way. Well, we already knew where the rail car was, but I guess they just wanted to make sure that we knew it was important. We could go back there. Let's keep continuing on. Just in case there's any more evidence down further this way. Well, it does seem that the tracks end around here. Or rather, I should say, there's a lot of overgrowth and rocks blocking the train tracks. But if we look a little bit closer, maybe we might find something more. It does look like there's a shape of maybe a rock that was there until recently. Over that way, by that stump. We must have missed it our first time past. Let's head over there and see if we can find it. I don't know why Paul Prospero seems to have these abilities. Maybe they just came naturally to him after so many years of inspecting the paranormal. And I think we have another murder weapon. Now, one thing about Paul's investigations is that he likes to return things to where they were at the time of the murder. Or maybe I should say, return things to how they were before they were disturbed during the events of the murder. You see, by putting the rock back there, where it originally was, that will help us get a clearer picture of things, of whatever it was that happened here. It's a little bigger, but not enough. Let's head back to the train car and see if maybe we can put that back to where it was as well. Wait, what am I doing? I need to start this up with the crank before I get in here. What kind of supernatural detective am I? Alright, we can go forward or we can go back. No point in going forward. There's just a dead end up there, another blockage. So let's head back until we reach the place that this train car seems to have originally been in. It's coming up here. Let's see if I overshot it. Ah, yeah, a little bit. Just go forward a little bit and we'll have returned it to where it needs to be. I think that should be okay. Let's just turn it off. We don't need to, but hey, no need to waste all that gas. So the sound effect confirms that we have returned it to where it should be. So now that we've done that, maybe we now have a clearer picture. Once we have the clear picture, it is now up to Paul to figure out the events that happened that led to this unfortunate state. Well, we can see a scene happening. The man with the severed legs, a boy kneeling over him, and a man with that crank in his hand. He looks like he's up to no good. And now it's just the man by himself on the spot with the giant bloodstain and the severed legs. Oh. It's the man with, yep, his legs are attached. And the boy being tied to the train tracks. The train car would have been over there at the time. The old man approaches the younger one. Those legs are still attached. That rock is in his hand. Doesn't seem like there's any blood on it right now, though. The old man took the rock from where it originally was. Thought I saw one other sparkly. And the final resting place of the man, with the older man standing over him with the crank. Now it says chronology, and it wants Paul to determine the order of these events, so we can see them as they've happened. Well, we can assume this is going to be where it all ends. And this is probably right before it. And this is probably right before that. So we have over there the guy tying down the child. Over here, the guy being approached by the old man. And over down here, the old man picking up the rock. So this one, or the one with the tied down child, seem like they might have come first. We'll go with, we'll tag this one as number 1. Which would mean all the way down here. Would likely be number 2. Probably these two things were happening at the same time. And then it looks like the man was walking back over to the train, and he looked like he was going to get in, and then approached by the old man. Number 3. Somehow the man ended up over here, where he lost his legs. Then afterwards crawled in desperation down here, and ended up here permanently. So now that we've done that, let's visualize it and see if we're right.
Gail, honey, I wish there was another way.
Listen to me. We can destroy it. I know how.
You can't destroy it, Ethan. You can't destroy time. And that's what he is. He is forever.
Travis, tell me where Ethan is. Now.
I'm giving the sleeper what he wants. What all of us want. Look, old man, you need to go home.
Ethan, run, goddammit. Go! Get out of here! Travis, close your eyes.
And it appears that we were right, and now we have seen the course of events that happened, whenever that was. And that has given us one final vision.
Grandpa? Stay away!
Ethan, I'm sick too. I can feel the sleeper in my head.
Then fight it! I have to destroy the room!
Corvus, I'm sorry. Ethan,
Oh no!
I can't let you do that.
And so,
Whatever had turned Ethan's family against him, the grandfather was trying to resist. Age helps against those things that feed on hate. Not because of wisdom or experience, because the old are tired. Their hate is less useful.
well, it seems that we've established that the child is Ethan Carter. And for whatever reason, that Travis was going to kill him, run him over with a train, but then that old man, Ethan's grandfather, saved him. So what is going on here? And then Ethan seemed quite afraid of his grandfather at the very end there. So all of the investigations in Ethan Carter, well, yeah, all of them, have that same format. And as we go through the game, we determine what's happened to Ethan and his family, what has happened to each of them, and what is going on, what is causing these things to happen. So, after seeing that, we're not going to do too much else because, like I said, it's a very short game. I would consider it to be more of a short story than anything else, and that's probably the best way to approach Ethan Carter. You've seen the gameplay that the game offers. You've seen the storytelling format that it has. Oh, that's odd. So from this, you should probably have a good idea on whether or not this is something you would be interested in playing. Like I said, it only is around 3 to 4 hours to see everything. But speaking of seeing everything, this is an odd thing. What is this? Oh, astronaut? Can you tell us where Ethan Carter is? Maybe the astronaut has the answers. Let's chase the astronaut throughout the forest. I'm gonna catch you, astronaut. We're gonna do it. We're gonna find that astronaut. Let's run where the astronaut is running. I have a feeling this astronaut has the answers to all of our questions. So all we can really do is just look at the direction that the astronaut is running and follow it. Astronaut, I'm going to follow you all the way across this land. You cannot escape Paul Prospero, astronaut. Paul Prospero always gets to the bottom of all of his investigations, whether or not they involve astronauts or not. I hope that astronaut doesn't think that's going to prevent Paul Prospero from following him. We said we'd follow him anywhere. And so, if you're interested in the vanishing of Ethan Carter, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a spoiler to reveal that actually the majority of the game does take place in outer space as the investigation goes galactic. So maybe I shouldn't have shown this bit, but yeah, so this is where the rest of the game takes place. Or we could probably just read this page right here. Looks like another one of Ethan's stories.
Get out of my room, Travis!
Stories, stories. Always with the stories.
Get out!
I read the Fangs one. I liked the Beast. At least he gets to leave this goddamn place.
Actually, the rest of the game does not take place in space. Ethan's stories seem to have some kind of power to them. Abstruse tales. Apparently belonging to some fellow named Gaylord, as he wrote his name right across it, so I assume no one would take it. So that's it for The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. It's a very interesting, very beautiful-looking adventure, interactive narrative short story game. Don't expect it to last long. And like I said, you've seen the game mechanics at this point, so you have a good idea of what the rest of the game would be like from what you've seen here. The game is around 3 to 4 hours. It's not long, but it is, I thought it made for a good evening's entertainment. And it's an interesting little story with beautiful visuals, and yeah, I would just say that I thought it was worthwhile playing through it. So from here, maybe you can make your own decision on that for yourself. That's The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Oh, and one thing you should know, if you do end up buying and playing this game, you can crouch. I'm just bringing that up because there is exactly one point in the game where you have to do that in order to see what's probably the coolest section of the game, and it's easy to forget that you can do that. You'll see what I mean if you play it. That's The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. It's on the PC now, and is going to be on the PlayStation 4 sometime, somewhere early in 2015, though I don't think that's known exactly when yet. It's quite obvious that this was made by the makers of Painkiller and Bulletstorm, couldn't you tell? Vanishing of Ethan Carter. I think it's pretty worthwhile, though very short and very good looking.